Welcome to Just Thinking. I'm Mary Greendale, and once again, we're doing these things off camera. That is, we're not in our studio, sad to say. Anyway, today we're going to be interviewing the first of our candidate interviews for the town election. You may be surprised to be reminded that there is a town election coming up. It's not until June 23rd. I'll have more details on that at the end of the interview. But right now, we're going to interview a candidate for the school committee. I'm asking a series of questions that I will ask of all three of the candidates who are running for 2 seats on the school committee. You'll be able to compare the responses from one candidate to the other and come to your own conclusions about who you wish to support. The interviews will run between 20 and 25 minutes, and they should be up very soon. So today we're going to interview Stacey Raffi, and Stacey is already on the school committee, has been for a couple of terms, and she is the current chairperson, so sorry. Anyway, so I'm going to start with just a couple of things I want you all to keep in mind. School committee is likely to be doing a search for a new superintendent in this upcoming year. The committee is now in negotiations with the teachers union, and that's ongoing for a while. We are in a shutdown, obviously, and have had to move learning out of the schools and into the homes. We have no idea what the physical and educational changes that will be needed come fall, or even if kids will be in school in fall. We have applied to the school building agency to ask for a study on whether or not we need a new high school. If there are classrooms, the plan is to change the opening times for school for 2 different groups of kids, 2 different age groups. And last but far from least, we are in a budget fiasco where state revenues are dropping and we don't know what's ahead. So with all of that, the first question I have for Stacey is, why are you running? No, this was your chance to get out, but that's not really what I want to ask you. Tell everybody about yourself. You know, you ran before. What do you view as your biggest accomplishment and contribution?
Great. Thanks for having me today. It's great to see you. So my name is Stacey Raffi. I have 2 children. My husband and I moved here in 2005. He is originally from Ashland, so not too far away. I grew up in Medford. But we ended up here in Holliston. We chose it for the location. It was based on proximity to where we were both working in Natick. And, you know, we had our eye on potentially eventually having children, and Holliston had a wonderful reputation for quality, high quality education, and that was important to me. I'm actually a product of private school from K through 12. So for me, you know, Eric went to public school. So for me, this was, you know, a change, and I wanted to make sure that we were going to a place where, you know, education was important. So here we are 14 years later. I have a 7th grader and a 5th grader. I have always been involved as a parent with my children's education, even from the young age of preschool. I like to be involved. I'm a firm believer of, if you don't participate in the process, you really don't have the right to voice your opinion, aka complain. And so I want to be part of the process. It's important to me. And yes, my children have asked, Mom, why are you running again? And so as I shared with you the last time I ran, I do believe in term limits. So my expectation for myself would be, this would be my 3rd and probably final term on the school committee for now, because I do believe that change is important every now and then. But for this particular time, I think it's really important for some consistency, especially where we are in this crazy pandemic. So I was elected in 2014. I have been on all of the subcommittees with the exception of the Green Subcommittee and Technology. But was on budget my first year. I have been on policy for the last two or three, actually three. I was chair of the school start time subcommittee, and I have been on the superintendent evaluation at least 4 years. So I've gotten a chance to try all the flavors of subcommittees, if you will. I feel like one of my proudest areas is really bridging this relationship between the select board and the finance committee. I have always wondered, even from day one, even before I was on school committee, how does the town work, and how do people make decisions in silos? I feel like we tend to sometimes make decisions in silos and not really have this broader picture. So I have really been pushing the select board for the past couple of years, but more vocally as the chair of the school committee, to create a vision and a strategic plan for the town that we can all look to for guidance when we're planning budgets, et cetera, et cetera. Because, we're all in this town together. I don't just care about the schools. I care about other things going on in the town. I care about how we're managing our senior center. I care about the public Department of Public Works. I drive on these roads too. So for me, it's really about bridging that relationship between the three let's say bigger boards in terms of decision making. We really need a plan to work together.
Okay. So what relevant experience or skills have you brought to the committee? Obviously you're a parent, but beyond that.
Mm-hmm. So before I considered running for school committee, when my children were babies, I ran a figure skating club in Framingham. And one of the things I did was I joined the Holliston Business Association. I am very much a social extrovert. So I like people, I like to get involved, I like events, I love to do things. So I joined the Holliston Business Association, even though I was a figure skating club and I'm not sure what value I thought I was bringing to the HBA. But I've developed relationships with business owners and other people in the community. So for me, I'm very entrenched in the community, which I think is important. It helps me in perspective and decision making because I can have a more global perspective about how decisions made at the school committee level can affect not just the HPS family, but also the town in general. I was a former event manager before I became a mom, and I did that for 10 years. So I definitely, I can multitask. I have an attention to detail, all those skills that are important in any type of position. In particular for school committee though, I've really had the opportunity over the past 6 years to develop a relationship with Senator Karen Spilka and Representative Carolyn Dykema and their teams, if you will. And I've also had the opportunity to form some relationships with school committee members from other districts. And we actually get together occasionally, this is pre-pandemic, and really share best practices and what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and can we share resources. So I guess in one word, I would say experience, at a high level of experience.
Okay. So first of all, you must be suffering as an extrovert. This whole experience must be a pain, but okay, I'm sorry for that. So what are the things that you think, the district is facing many things right now?
Many.
Right now, what's the top one? Because you got to have one.
Uncertainty and fear, right? That's sort of the overarching theme. So we are concerned about the students and the teachers and where they're at right now. where are they emotionally? Where are they where are they in terms of being able to give instruction, receive instruction? That for us has been a big deal. Virtually overnight, the whole world, we've changed the way we do things as parents, as families, but as schools in particular. Our educators virtually changed overnight how they provided education to their kids. And they are trying to make this screen their classroom. And that's a really hard thing to do. And they are struggling with it. I'm hearing from friends who are teachers, Stacey, I can't read the room. I can't come over to little child and tap them on the shoulder and redirect them. I can't get that good eye contact to really see how they're doing. Are they understanding what I'm saying? So I think uncertainty and fear are sort of the two biggest themes, if you will. And we have a lot of competing priorities. You have families who parents are trying to ensure that their kids are getting the highest quality of education, that they're on Zoom, for most of the day learning. You have other families who are really just trying to survive, whether it's financial insecurity, social, emotional insecurity. We have situations of domestic situations that we're concerned about for people. So that's sort of from a parent perspective, what's going on. The teachers and administrators are worried about all those things. And we're trying to be able to keep people calm and assured that we're in planning phase for what's to come next. But be assured that we're with you, and we're here to support you however best we can. Out of that fear and uncertainty, I'm really concerned about the budget impacts that are going to be coming down the pike over the next couple of months and next couple of years. That is, and interestingly enough, someone once said to me, when schools are doing well, that gives the community hope and you feel like everything's going well. And it's not that our schools aren't doing well, but we're not in our buildings and you don't see our kids walking to school. And so it's a scary feeling for many people, myself included. At the same time, and I'm sort of talking split brain here, I think we have some big opportunity here to change some of the ways we do things. I think teachers now have the opportunity to tell us, what really worked well in this pandemic? X, Y, and Z. I got my students to write more. I got my students to go outside more. I got my students to cook more. So there's opportunity for us to learn from this craziness and make changes for the better moving forward.
I like that optimistic note.
I'm trying.
Assuming the worst and 2021 is disrupted by the virus, what do you hope to accomplish as a member of the school committee in your 3-year term? And how would you measure your own success?
Yeah, this pandemic's a real pain in the neck. It's crimping my style for sure. And it's crimping the style of many. I really see this as an opportunity to make some changes. There is talk that the fall opening will not be what it was in August of last year, meaning there may be no opportunity to go into the buildings at all. There may be opportunity to separate classes and do a very hybrid schedule where, 10 children per class get to go into class on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the other 10 get to go Tuesday, Thursday. There's an option that it might be strictly virtual learning. what I am pushing for right now, we need our administration to communicate frequently and confirm and ease the concern that people are planning for the worst and hoping for the best.
Do you think that the administration is doing that?
I do, but I don't think I think they're planning. I don't think they're necessarily doing a stellar job of communicating that. And I don't think that they have all the voices they need yet either. I really am concerned that teacher voice has not been included in their planning. And I think that's incredibly important, because as much as I don't want too many cooks in the kitchen, and I absolutely respect that concern from administration, at the end of the day, it's Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so who are in the classrooms, who are virtually talking and connecting with the students every day, who can really, they're the frontline workers, they're the boots on the ground, they're the ones who can give us the best information on how we can move forward.
Well, yours is not the only industry that forgets to ask the frontline workers. So
yeah, I think that's really important. And it's not to step on toes and do other people's jobs or cross lanes. Sometimes you'll hear us talk about, we need to stay in our lane. But I just think it's so important. I think parent voice is important. I think student voice is important. But at the end of the day, if you're going to talk about educating the students, who better to hear from than the educators?
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and the students too, through them. So I'm going to go back to that same question a little bit and say, how will you measure your success going forward? I mean, this is, and trust me, I understand that this is all a moving target, a movable feast, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. Nobody really knows what's going to happen, but just internally for yourself, what are you hoping for? What are you going to measure?
I'm gonna for measurement, I guess it's gonna be my sense of calm, my sense of patience, my sense of feeling heard, my sense that that my children, fellow students are doing okay. And by okay, I mean that they're not having meltdowns every day, that they're not acting out in certain ways. When I know that they're being connected with, when I know that plans are being worked on and being communicated, I will feel like that is success. It's so hard, I guess, because I never in a million years would ever imagine this situation. I actually left for a trip on March 13th, and people were, oh, I wouldn't go away. And when I went away, part of me wondered, like, am I ever going to get to go away again? And that was a scary thought. This is surreal to me.
I think it's surreal to all of us.
Yeah.
So I did read watch from the last school committee meeting that you all are still on target as far as the opening times for school. You're going to proceed with that in the fall, assuming that there are times that need to be opened.
You're right.
So for the high school, they'd be going a little bit later. And I believe it was the younger kids that were going to be going earlier, the youngest kids.
Yep. No, so
I forget.
Right. That's okay. You're good. So yes, the point of the changing of the school start times was to allow for the middle and high school students who currently start at 7:30 to start 40 minutes later. And so the way we were able to work this model based on all of our issues in terms of roadblocks, in terms of not being with buses and budget, et cetera, we came up with a model where the middle and high schoolers would start, they would flip with the Miller School, which is our upper elementary school. So the plan is if school buildings were to open on September 1st, the Miller School students, grades 3 to 5, would start school at 7:30. They would get out at 2 o'clock. The middle and high school students would go next. They would do the 8:10 to 2:30 slot. And then our Placentino students would stay with their 8:50 to 3:15 time.
Do you hear a dog crying in the background?
Not at all. I don't hear a thing.
Anyway, I've got to get the dog to read the sign on the door. Anyway, so this is going to proceed as planned anyway.
So that is the plan, but in all reality,
Who knows?
I'm not convinced that the doors are going to open.
Yeah.
But the committee is still committed to making sure that the district has school times that start for those adolescents that is a better time that fits in with their circadian rhythm. And that is the key. And I'll share with you, Mary, I was the chair of the school start time subcommittee for the 3 years. I took the chair role because of the 3 of us on the subcommittee, one member was a true advocate for changing in school start times. The other member was really not bought into the situation at all. And I was dead middle. I could go either way. And that's why I took the role for that subcommittee as chair, because I was sort of I was Switzerland, basically. And honestly, after all of the research, I became a believer in the high school kid, the middle school, really 7th and 8th graders I'm seeing with my own child. Really, it is a physiological thing in terms of when they can go to sleep. And so why wouldn't we support what works for them?
Well, we're not going to try to do that one now.
Yep.
So you do have an issue, though. It looks like Dr. Jackson is going to move on to another opportunity for himself.
Yep.
And what are you going to be looking for? You personally, I know you can't speak for the committee, but
No.
what are you personally going to be looking for? This could be a dramatic change.
It could. But realistically, in the committee, I feel comfortable and safe in saying that we all feel we absolutely want someone who's going to come in and continue to move us forward in the path that we've started. And when I say path, I mean Holliston is really ahead of the curve in terms of social and emotional learning for students. Way beyond other districts. So we've done a lot of work with social emotional learning. We are in the process of changing our elementary school, both schools, in the curriculum that they use. So they are moving to Fontes and Pinnell. So we are not looking for a game changer, so to speak. We want someone to come in who can lead by example, lead with outstanding communication. And by communication, I don't just mean regurgitating out information. I mean two-way communication. One of the things that I really am hoping to see with another person is the police department does coffee with cops. I want to see snacks with the superintendent, or whatever we want to call it. But that type of, the person who really is part of the community, and you're part of the community when you're part of the conversations with those around you. I think that's crazy important. Obviously, someone with experience in terms of negotiating contracts, understanding the business and operations side of the running a district, understanding special education and what it means when we as a district say we teach all students.
And there is a firm belief by the administrators that students will do well when they can, and it's up to us to provide them those opportunities. But communication is probably my number one attribute.
That one's hard. You know, I mean, there are a lot of people who can talk the game, but don't necessarily walk it. So I don't know. I
Yeah, it's hard.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge to be able to identify in an interview whether or not somebody has that real skill. And I wish you luck with that one. Looking ahead, do you anticipate any changes that come out of this stay-at-home experience with teachers, like the online teaching? What might be those changes that we might look at?
Definitely at how educators are going to be able to use a virtual environment. You know, at the collegiate level, online learning happens frequently, and it makes sense. I'm not convinced it's the right model for a preschooler all the way even to my 5th grader. I think, you know, the older students it becomes a little bit more appropriate. So the challenge for educators is how are we going to provide quality education that meets the needs of all students, and we have students who can't access the curriculum online, and I don't mean because they don't have internet access. I mean they either have a disability of some sort that prevents them from accessing the curriculum. So that is obviously a high priority and a high concern. The other concern is the mental health and well-being of our teachers and our students, and quite frankly, our entire community. But I'm concerned about the teachers as well as the students. Sitting in front of a screen is tiresome. Our teachers are exhausted. Our kiddos are exhausted. That's another big concern.
I agree with that one. I think, and it would be interesting to do a mental health check around town, as a matter of fact. But anyway.
So Mary, that you say that, so we do a mood check in 7th, 9th, and 11th grade through the Wellesley College Centers for Women. We typically do it in the fall. We actually just got an email yesterday that the district is redistributing that survey to the 7th, 9th, and 11th graders. And I won't go into all the details, but we've had a couple of meetings on it through the committee. This is a very objective opportunity for parents to find out if their children present risk.
That's great. I think it's great that you're going to move it.
Yeah.
We're going to move along here just a little bit because this is we're taking a little longer than we had anticipated. I don't know, it's so different doing it this way. Anyway. I know that since you've been elected, you've certainly participated in the town elections and town meetings and so forth. Did you have a history of doing that before you ran?
We did. So interestingly enough, I grew up in the city of Medford, so town government was very different than here. And I grew up there, and I left Medford when I went to college. So I always participated in elections. But Eric grew up in Ashland, and he grew up with family that, you know, mom would attend town meeting, et cetera. So we would switch off when the kids were babies as to who went to town meeting. And then Eric figured out that I'm much more social than he is, so he just let me keep going. But he would text me through meetings and tell me how he thought I should vote. But so yes, I have always participated.
Is there anything you think that we could do collectively to improve the situation for town meeting attendance? And what do you think of the governance committee, what they could do?
So one of the things, actually, a couple years back, I'm an active member of the PTO, and I'm one of the board members. And the president then and we were trying to figure out if we could convince the room parents to be our voices at town meeting, or have them elect people in the classes because one of the issues that I see is we don't have a large representation of the families in at town meeting. So you might see a couple of parents splattered here or there, but typically you see a lot of retirees who are at town meeting. And so we were trying to think of ways to educate actually the families, the students and the family, you know, particularly the families. So we were talking about trying to figure out if we could convince the room parents to get people over to town meeting.
That's actually a good idea. Very interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that I'm interested to see what this town governance board is going to be able to do. I'm very interested to see their work.
Yeah, I am too. So is there anything else that you would like to add or say or think that we've skipped or missed or whatever?
No, I think no, please, if anyone has questions, they're welcome to email me. Tune in tomorrow night or Thursday night for school committee meetings to see where we're going. Yeah, no, thank you for this opportunity, Mary. I really appreciate it.
No problem, and thank you. Okay, so one thing that everybody needs to understand is that this election is going to be different from anything we've ever done. Election day is June 23rd. The hours are from 12 noon until 4 in the afternoon. That's it, 4 hours. The reason that it is so limited is because the town clerk is trying to keep a minimal number of people in the lines and so forth to go into the polls. In fact, the entire gymnasium is going to be rearranged in how it looks and how the traffic will flow. And given that so many of the folks that are part of the crew that works the election, they're going to be sitting there. They're going to be interacting with people all the time that they're there. So it's exposure to the virus, and the goal is to minimize that. So to avoid being at that gym that day, the town clerk is asking that we all vote ahead of time. You can get a ballot by submitting an application from the town's website, and we're going to show you a screen of that. Submit the application, they mail you a ballot. You fill out the ballot and you mail it back. You're done. You don't have to worry about going to the town election at the gym. You don't have to worry about exposing yourself or anything else. Just you can do it ahead of time. So Elizabeth, the town clerk, has said her goal would be that nobody would be voting on election day. She would love it if everybody had already done it, but of course that would be 10,000 people, and the likelihood of that is pretty slim. But anyway, so that's the situation. So stay tuned. I will be doing an interview with the town clerk just to, you know, iron out details and stuff, but that's the situation this year. Okay, again, Stacey, thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate it. And good luck to you. Good luck to your family. Stay safe. Thanks. Over and out.